So welcome. It's been an amazing Istanbul blockchain week, and I'm really pleased to be sort of doing our first presentation on how Bitcoin DeFi is coming. Essentially, we're looking at how we can unlock the $2 trillion of assets on top of Bitcoin and bring it to DeFi. And I think this is one of the sleeping themes in the crypto world, and we like to think at Trio we're one of the most established Bitcoin builder groups, and we're going to effectively unlock DeFi on top of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin obviously is a $2 trillion asset completely waiting to be unlocked. It's pretty crazy, but effectively 60% of Bitcoin is passively held, like your classic people just holding Bitcoin, buying and holding, keeping one Bitcoin, whatever it is, right? But our effective view is that a little known fact is basically back in the day, Vitalik Buterin, when he founded Ethereum, was actually the editor of Bitcoin magazine. And after that, this happened. Effectively, Ethereum and now Solana and other chains have come to dominate DeFi as an asset class. And there's still roughly 100 million, a bit more than 100 million in TVL locked on top of Ethereum. On Bitcoin, it's tiny by comparison, but effectively 5% more or less of the overall Ethereum market. But if you look at this chart, if I'm a trader, I'm very bullish on what that chart looks like. And I think there's a very good reason that in the last 2 years, there's been a major unlocking of the more DeFi, decentralized finance and crypto activities on top of Bitcoin. We at Trio have been called one of the most influential Bitcoin builder companies because we kickstarted a trend a couple of years ago called Ordinals as the team that built OrdinalsBot. And basically, if you see this trend here, this is how DeFi kicked off from 2023, 2024, it suddenly hockey sticked upwards, the TVL or total value locked of assets coming on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin token volume is still tiny, right? The idea that we're doing roughly 10 million in daily trading volume. There's coins on Solana with silly names that do more than $10 million in trading volume a day, right? With no utility. But we fervently believe that really this is going to be a major trend. So why does Bitcoin DeFi matter? It will drive more Bitcoin on-chain activity. Last year, we were one of the biggest drivers of fees in Bitcoin, fees paid to miners, overtaking the block reward. So effectively, it's regarded as a very critical thing for the future of Bitcoin and Bitcoin security that fees are paid on top of Bitcoin. And the things it will open up, right? Like we heard in the last presentation, at the end of the day, no one's in crypto for a 20%, 50% gain, but they're here for the long term, right? So are you going to want, I think there will be a number of people, many people in this room, many people at this conference that will look to do more interesting things with their Bitcoin. They'll want to earn yield on it. They'll want to do the cool things we've seen on other chains. You'll want to be able to provide liquidity. You'll want to be able to swap assets on Bitcoin. You'll want to be able to borrow and lend natively on Bitcoin. Obviously, there's major technical barriers to this. The biggest one being there's obviously no smart contracts on layer 1 Bitcoin. So there's also the problem of bridging. So that as we all know in crypto, has been where a lot of money has been lost from the wormhole hack to many others, right? Also, the UX of Bitcoin, although our company Trio and many of the other builder groups that we work with are improving the UX of Bitcoin, it is a clunky UX still. It needs to improve. At the same time, it's very unclear which scaling solutions are going to win out. There's much money being chucked at the Bitcoin layer 2s, but there's a lot of activity that needs to take place. This is where we come in. We're building our Trio DEX. As I said before, we're a very storied group of Bitcoin builders, have a very, very strong Bitcoin-led team, and we want to build the Uniswap of Bitcoin. We think that effectively you're going to have trustless activity with assets swapping and changing hands. Our vision is to launch this DEX with hundreds of millions of TVL to billions of dollars of TVL, we hope, in the coming years. Because we believe that tokenization is a major force, and when that gets married to Bitcoin, which is the dominant asset in all of crypto, you're going to see a huge unlocking of the entire crypto industry. And what you'll see are seamless B2C Bitcoin to token swaps. You'll have liquidity pools. You'll even get the crazy activities you see on other chains, the yield farming, cool decentralized trading. All these things will happen on Bitcoin with the right scaling, and we're working with many of the brightest minds going how do we turbocharge Bitcoin? And I think our company has played a small part in bringing the cool back to Bitcoin, a lot of the activity on Bitcoin. And I think this time next year, you'll see a lot more people at this conference talking about Bitcoin and not Ethereum or Solana or Base or whatever it is they're talking about. So it's going to be very cool. We're going to enable some transactions with no wrapping, no custodians, allowing people to have sovereign on-chain Bitcoin token activity, which has been almost a dream. And one of the reasons why, as I said, Vitalik had to move away from Bitcoin, having been a Bitcoiner, to set up Ethereum. And I think we're coming full circle at the moment. So the Trio DEX, basically we're looking to move assets on-chain on Bitcoin, but leveraging the different layer 2s and scaling solutions to make that easy, right? So as a user, you want to be able to trade your Bitcoin to, say, the Ordi token, which was a multi-billion-dollar token that we actually helped launch. So it was deployed on our platform. That multi-billion-dollar token, you can trade in and out of it, as with any other tokens you might want to create on Bitcoin. At the same time, it's trustless, it's secured by native consensus, and we think initially, the key thing is getting an AMM that people understand, hence the Uniswap analogy. We want to build on top of that and build really cool DeFi tooling that's liquid at scale that you can use easily. And obviously this will be designed with simplicity. Security is critical to us. We're having many security audits put in, and we want this our activities to be composable as well. So what's our edge? We are a major Bitcoin builder group, very well known in that space, brought many people to their first Bitcoin tokens, and effectively we're going to build the UX of Bitcoin, so you're not even having to transfer to Ethereum. I don't know about you, but I seldom log into my MetaMask wallet now, right? I used to back in the day the whole time, but the problem is it's kind of a weird ecosystem. At the same time, Bitcoin will be secure, scalable, it will be leveraging layer 2s, but they will be tapping into Bitcoin security, which, as we know, is much more trustworthy than some other chains that are leveraging proof of stake with the majority of the control in the hands of very, very few institutions. At the same time, we're ecosystem first. We're working with the best builders in the space. We're building out protocols that many different people can leverage. And obviously, we're all about making stuff permissionless. I think like it's been great to see the like validation that you've seen in the crypto space brought by all the ETFs and all of that. But at the end of the day, we're fervent believers that blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin, all of these things are best when they're permissionless. And that's what building a Bitcoin DEX will enable. So clearly the Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem is emerging. There's been like probably more than 50 to 100 layer 2s set up. Many of them scaling very quickly, many of them extremely well funded, some of them with good products, some of them without good products. But we're talking with every single one of them, we're keeping a close watch, and we're bringing utility and liquidity on-chain to Bitcoin. And at the end of the day, right, like we've been talking with people, like Ordinals, which we were involved with heavily, kind of turbocharged the art market on-chain. Ironically, we've been talking to the top Bitcoin lenders, and there's only like $10 billion being lent on Bitcoin for a $2 trillion asset class. The art market itself is a $50 billion market. So you're gonna, as you unlock tokenization, you're gonna unlock all of these things that really bring out the latent value on top of Bitcoin. We've got many different launch partners, token integrations. We're looking at liquidity mining on the platform, effectively looking at all the usual things you'd look to have to make a DEX successful. And we think we're in one of the prime positions to build effectively a Uniswap of Bitcoin. So what's happening with our DEX launch? It's coming to testnet in Q3. The DEX will be live in Q4. We'd love to see upwards of 50 million of TVL at that launch. And then we're going to do all of the things that you would expect, like cross-chain bridges, stable coins, BTC lending pools. And effectively, like, we think this roadmap puts us in a very strong position to unlock all of the value on Bitcoin. So thank you for listening. Please reach out to me. I'm Toby, co-founder at OrdinalsBot, Trio. So my email is toby@ordinalsbot.com. You can check out our marketplace that's live trading today, doing Ordinals assets. DEX will be coming to it soon, so go to trio.xyz and x.com trio.xyz. Happy to take any questions, or thank you for listening anyway. So, yeah.
Thank you. So it is a very presumptuous roadmap, right? Like you're going to be live with the testnet soon. My question, I guess, like what's the perceived challenges you're basically anticipating that's going to be hard on the onboarding or the product building? What's the perceived challenges that you see and you take it as a challenge, I guess?
So this is building on top of Bitcoin, right? It's really not easy, right? Like I think our entire engineering team, like we kind of feel like in the last 2 years, we built probably like 10 products on top of Bitcoin. And it's not always easy to launch those seamlessly. We've had many issues doing that. We know for a DEX, right? This is managing peer-to-peer money seamlessly. We're determined that it goes off as smoothly as possible so that people can trade at scale. But like, we're also very conscious that a lot of the stuff that we've been doing has been done by very few groups before and not done at the scale that we're envisaging. So like, I think that's probably like the biggest issue for us is going, how do we, after having launched 10 different products on top of Bitcoin, how do we make this the killer launch, right? Because we know that the groups that build like the DeFi champions on top of Bitcoin are billion-dollar organizations, right? Like but there's a lot of security, trust that we're asking all of you to take by building this. So we want the best security audits, the best engineers, the best advice of how we go to market to try and make sure we don't get hacked, to try and make sure the products work smoothly, to try and make sure that all of the liquidity where people are doing tokenization efforts on other chains, that comes back to Bitcoin. So.
Thank you for your presentation, and I want to ask you that, you mentioned that the systems, your DEX will be like permissionless, and I think, as we all know that, the permissionless like systems, it creates like a prime target for malicious actors, right? With your DEX, the permissionless systems, basically I want to hear that what you are thinking about, like being permissionless or much controlled systems. All over the world, we are now talking about regulations.
So just to check, your question is like, what do we think of the regulatory environment for DEXs?
Basically, you mentioned that your DEX will be like the permissionless, and it's a strong benefit for the system. But as we all know, the permissionless systems also, it's like a good target for malicious actors, especially from the early days, from the beginning.
Yeah.
How you want to protect, the first comers, retail users?
Yeah, no, a great question. So I think obviously that's going to be always the trade-off in launching a DEX, right? And we've seen it with a lot of the major DeFi organizations that they've had to go, look, how do we sort of think about MetaMask, for instance. I remember when they effectively shut off in Russia and other things, right? I mean, obviously, we are law-abiding citizens, so we're always going to take into account the laws and regulations of different jurisdictions and try and think our way through those. I think in the initial stages, the key thing is building the tech that works in a permissionless manner and hard coding that in a way that has clear and transparent integrity. We've obviously seen engineers have been arrested for Tornado Cash or whatever it is, right? These are big issues, and we're also running a company and we're running a tokenized economy, so we need to think very, very carefully about edge cases like that. I think our view is really more we're building the permissionless decentralized economy on top of Bitcoin and leveraging that base layer, and the trade-offs we'll have to make, we'll need to weigh up hardcore decentralization and all those values to does all our team go to jail? I think we'll hopefully never have to make that trade-off, but that's definitely a question. You know what I mean? So look. Very good. Thank you very much. Anyway. Cheers.